Okay, everybody here on YouTube, this is Sonic with double zero, following up on my supposed thoughts on the whole Dragon Ball Evolution movie and the Hollywood tendency to find big budget franchises. Now, I know there are plenty of hate videos out there going on and on about what's wrong with this film. Well, I decided that I'd put those feelings aside for now and try to focus more on the developmental aspect of it. Maybe I'll touch on the, maybe some of the mistakes, but all in all, I think that there's everything that's been said has pretty much been said before. Now, when I originally did this, I was, of course, as a fan of the series, angry. In fact, I had a other video out there, but I wasn't really satisfied with it. I was just not in the best of ways. So let's get down to it. How I think they should proceed. Now, this is assuming that if they do make a sequel, they have a lot of things to go back on. I mean, a lot of things. I mean, initially, who in the world thought that they could make an 88-minute movie on a Dragon Ball series? Seriously, it's like, let's do this plot. It's like they thought of doing it before actually doing any research into the topic at all. I mean, they saw Dragon Ball and said, well, American audiences aren't going to get it, so let's try to transform it into something they do know. And so we get this plot with Goku being in high school and being bullied. So we're trying to make Dragon Ball into a familiar comic book movie. Americans know comic movies, and if we market Dragon Ball like a comic book movie, maybe we can get lots of people to spend money on it and gross over 100 mil. Just like The Dark Knight. Unfortunately, even if that was the case, even if you take this movie as completely separated from the Dragon Ball universe, the scene is so poor, it is too poorly done to actually accomplish anything. I mean, there's the high school aspect of it offers little to no character development. Oh, right, and the characters. Of course, I'll have to go into the characters now. There is one really strange thing I did notice. It's weird. It's kind of difficult to rate the acting on these people because it's more bad writing by the director and the writer than it is by the actors. It's like the actors were portraying the characters that the director and the writers gave them, but not the actual characters themselves. So that means that they're going to have big discrepancies between characters, and they're not going to be appreciated for it. Now, I kind of see this as an excuse for James Wong to put his own stamp on the movie. I've seen this many times before. If you remember movies like, I'm talking about these really old movies, like, I don't know, He-Man and not called He-Man, but Masters of the Universe. They use the name just so that director can put a story that he wanted to put in, and put it in there, just so other people would see it. Of course, this is a pretty terrible practice, but of course it happens. It definitely happens. Anyway, now with Goku, you could argue he's out of character. I don't think that he was strong enough to play a lead character, and since I'm so familiar with the Dragon Ball canon, it's very difficult to actually say, point out good things about his acting, because he's supposed to be Goku, but he's supposed to be the author's interpretation of Goku, so I don't know where to rate him on that. I'm not really that much of very knowledgeable about acting, but I do know a lot about character development. In fact, character development is very important to me, and of course characters have to be treated with some sort of respect, even in your own interpretation. I mean, if I not going into this as a Dragon Ball fan, this show is actually kind of sexist if you think about it. I mean, Mai, who's supposed to be the right hand woman of Piccolo, says nothing throughout the entire film. She has no character development. She has no speaking parts. All she is just a weapon. I know she's supposed to be a ninja, but she serves no purpose in the movie. She's only about as useful as a gun or a sword or something. That's pretty much it. I mean, considering the actual model is nowhere near that. This Mai is basically just an original character. I can't even really call her a character. She's more like a cardboard cutout. And the same thing goes with Bulma. Bulma offers like a few cliched one-liners, has this completely inferior plot element with Yamcha, with romance. It's just so tacked on. It's more like a reference than an actual part of a character. She's basically used for transportation throughout the entire film. She's not important to the plot in any conceivable way. I mean, okay, I'll try not to relate to Dragon Ball. In Dragon Ball, Bulma made up for all the knowledge that Goku didn't have. She was also a character foil, like many other characters you encounter in the series. Anyway, let's move on to Roshi. Again, this interpretation of Roshi. The guy who made this film wanted to portray Roshi as the martial arts master. And the part of Roshi that people know from the Dragon Ball series are putting it as an afterthought. That's what I think. Just an afterthought. I mean, this guy already had, it's like the God already had in his mind, this is a martial arts master, but this is Dragon Ball, so I guess I had to put some elements into it. No, just to make the fans happy. It's really too bad. And Yamcha, it's like the guy didn't even know who Yamcha, well, like I said, trying to relate to Dragon Ball, but even then, there's nothing redeeming about the characters at all. There's nothing I remember about them. They barely have like no personality, no importance to the plot or story at all. The only people who I think are important to the plot are possibly Piccolo, Goku, and maybe Grandpa Gohan. All the other characters could be easily replaced with just random people. Honestly, just with random people. Ugh. Okay, part about sequels. Well, they have a lot of work to do if they plan on ever doing it. I mean, let's see, they cut out Krillin. So without Krillin, you don't have Goku's best friend. Without that, you don't have him being killed on Namek and becoming a Super Saiyan. You didn't go into the Red Ribbon Army, so you don't have anybody left. And without the Red Ribbon Army, there's no Dr. Gero, and without Dr. Gero, there are no androids. So you can't even go to the androids or Cell. I mean, I understand why they had to cut it down. Dragon Ball is a long series, and a very silly one at that. I honestly had no idea how they were possibly going to do that in one movie. I mean, it's obvious to me they had to rush it just so they can get to Dragon Ball Z. The problem is, you don't have Dragon Ball Z without Dragon Ball, without establishing it correctly. That's one of the weird things about it. Such a great series, built on its own foundations, but incredibly difficult to translate into some sort of shortened film. So what I'm thinking is, in order for it to make sense, if they truly want to skip all that and go straight to Dragon Ball Z, either they're going to have to rush through all these different character introductions like they did in the first movie, and then have only a little time to go into maybe the Saiyans, or they rewrite the whole thing, turn it into something unrecognizable, and just call it Dragon Ball Z or inspired by Dragon Ball Z or something. That's what they'll have to do. I mean, sorry, I remember it just came in. And I'm out.